We're live. We're live, and it's Friday. It's the first Friday of May. I can't believe we're almost halfway through 2025 already. I don't know what to say about that. I do know what to say about this. It is Small Biz Trends or Breakdown, and it is Friday afternoon, and it's actually not too bad outside. And I'm feeling good because I got my LAFD gear. So I'm supporting my team's home team, first responders. That's right. I love this color of blue, too. It really looks good on me. Anyway, I'm Brent Leary. Let me introduce you to, or shall I say, reintroduce you to the crew. And we always start further west as I could go with this. Oregon that's pretty much it. And Leland from Oregon is here.
Hey, Brent. It's good to be on. What would happen if we got someone on that was even further west than me? Would you put them on first?
Yeah, actually, I would. I don't know why I did the pregnant pause because I really would have. But we don't have to worry about that right now. We're very happy that you are the furthest west. And then I actually zigzag. I'm going to go, I think, the furthest east. And that would be sitting in New York / New Jersey, the one and only Ramon Ray.
What's up, Brent? Good to be here. Good to be here, Leland. I hope everyone is well and doing good. And I feel fantastic and blessed. Was in London and Budapest, and now I'm here. So good to be here in my seat.
London and Budapest.
International.
I'm talking about Hungary. Did you say hello to Viktor Orban, or
I did actually. We met together and discussed the things that the thing that John Lawson loves to talk about. We discussed that.
I was going to say something, but I'm just going to hold off.
Yeah.
We'll move on to more pleasant thoughts coming from our nation's capital. Pleasant thoughts coming from our nation. I didn't really work that one out. But Shashi is here.
Hey, everybody. Ramon, crossing the Atlantic. Good to see you back.
Thank you.
You're as west as we think of, unless we go around the world and we become much farther. But great weather, nice, pleasant, fresh air. So everything is going well.
Actually, I'm going to maybe say something. I think it's really important to say. Shashi is taking over a show that the Venerable Paul Greenberg, my partner over at PPN, Players Production Network, has been doing for the last couple of years, called Talking Headless, where he talks all about analyst stuff and analyst relations and things like that. He handed over the reins yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, to Shashi. So Shashi is now the host of Talking Headless.
Nice. Congratulations, Shashi. Congratulations.
Thanks. Great honor, Brent. Thank you.
Looking forward to that one. I'm not looking forward. Well, no, I shouldn't say that.
You shouldn't, Brent. You shouldn't.
I'm looking forward to the bold one. Sometimes he's the cold one. More than ever, kind of the old one. John Colder Ice Lawson is here. Got his dukes up for some reason. Why are you putting your dukes up?
Bro. Dance.
Oh, that's. I didn't know they had dances back. Well. All right. So what's going on with you before we introduce somebody we haven't been able to introduce in the last couple of shows?
Nothing, man. Same thing, different days.
Different Janet Jackson shirt.
Different Janet Jackson shirt.
Look at that. We even got a hello from Amber. She's already here with us. Good to see you, Amber. But you know who else it's good to see? Because we haven't seen her in a couple of weeks. The one and only Madam Mike Drop herself, all the way from Medina. Even a Taylor is here.
I know. I thought I was going to come after Leland. It's good to see everyone. I missed you all.
We missed you too.
We miss you too, Ivana.
Yeah, well, welcome to the headquarters of Spring Love, Medina, Ohio. Spring has sprung. Love is in the air. All things are blooming.
Wow, love is in the air.
Nice.
Blooming. And you know who was in the building for all of that? Sean.
What's up, Sean?
Got some nice folks already here with us. And just because Ivana mentioned it the last time we spoke, that you kind of missed those little like trivia questions and things like that, I have one. I don't think.
Oh, wonderful. John and I were waiting for it with anticipation.
42. I gotta beat Ivana to it. 42.
Wow, they're already putting it in there. All right, so
no.
Microsoft announced their earnings. I think it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. Either way, it was a blowout. I think they made 50 billion in revenue or something like that in just the quarter. You wonder where do all these people talk about the recession and see these numbers? Facebook or Meta, whatever, they also blew it out. I mean, all these big tech companies don't seem to be having any issues, but I digress. So I'm starting another show I call Digging in the Scripts, where I actually go through the earnings calls, the transcripts of all the stuff, and try to find some interesting things to point out and kind of go at for a little bit. So I did find something that I don't even know how they come up with these numbers. But anyway, Microsoft processed over 100 trillion with a T tokens this quarter. So all that Gen AI stuff, all that stuff, the LLM, all that things being generated, tokens are the things that they kind of measure what's going on with the generation of all that stuff and creation and all that stuff. Last quarter, 100 trillion tokens, up 5x year over year, including a record blankety blank blank trillion tokens last month alone. Would you care to guess what that number is, that record number for last month in terms of total tokens generated?
30 trillion. If I'm getting the math right, meaning 100 trillion in 4 months, January, February, March, April. Correct?
Well, we'll wait and see.
It's got to be a little bit more. It can't be just a straight 1/3. So it's got to be, because it's a record-breaking amount. So I'm gonna hit 40 trillion.
You're not going to say 42?
I know.
No. I'm going to give that to you, Ivana.
I'm going with 30 trillion still. I'm going to stick at 30 trillion. I wasn't doing it because of third, Leland. My assumption was it was less and less January, February, March, and then it scaled up in April, but we'll see.
All right, so we got 40 trillion from Ramon. Come on, who else? Me. Oh, wait, yeah, you're 40. 30 trillion from Ramon, 40 trillion from Leland.
Yeah.
All right, Shashi?
I'm going to say 60. 30 of them came from people saying thank you to their chatbot.
Melting the GPUs with thank yous.
just melting those GPUs down with thank you. What a nice thought that would be. We all know that ain't the truth. But anyway, so we got 60. So we got 30, we got 40, we got 60, even in Mr. Ice.
All right, I'll say 43.
40.
Oh man, everyone has taken mine. I'm going to say 52.
Oh, wow. She
I was going to do 42, but first I was going to say 33. Then Ramon comes in at 30. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to say 40 something. And then Leland comes in. So I got to find, what did I just say? 50?
52. After all,
52.
I don't even know what I did.
52.
I feel like such an idiot. I feel like an idiot. I feel like
wait a minute. So we got 30, 40, 52, 60. I think that's it. All right. So the answer is Ivana, you were the closest.
Wow.
You were the closest. And thank God we're not doing Price is Right rules, or you wouldn't be.
I would have gone over.
Yeah, that's right. I win.
First of all, do these numbers even compute in your mind? Like, do we know what 50 trillion actually? I mean, this is unbelievable numbers here.
Well, actually, a token is 70% of a word. So do the math.
That's nice. That's good to know. Okay.
That's but I'm talking about trillion with a T. I mean, that's
right.
Nice.
But I'm just saying. So
that's
if you
nice math.
Multiply that by a third.
Yeah, but do we really know what a trillion is?
Let me just finish. It's 130 trillion words.
130 trillion words.
Yes.
We're not talking about words here, though. We're just.
But what I think would be great to know is how many of this is in the Bible or at Encyclopedia Britannica, something that we all know. That'd be great to have that juxtaposition, to know. Yeah.
I mean, 50. I mean, these numbers are so astronomical. They all sound ridiculous.
Okay.
To me.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So 50 trillion. John, are you surprised at that kind of number? That's just from Microsoft. We're not talking about from any of the other, foundational players here.
It's crazy.
And most people still don't know what the hell this thing is doing for them yet.
There's 95,000 words in The Hobbit.
Really? That's it?
I know. So that just gives you an
Wow. Okay. That's
90,000 words in what?
In The Hobbit.
Oh, okay.
Just that set, not the whole trilogy.
Not the whole trilogy, yeah. Just one book.
Jeez. That's pretty okay. I like that. So all right, I thought I'd do that. Now we get back to a little bit of business here. Because there has been some pretty significant, this was a pretty big news week when you think about it. So just today, let's see what we got here. I think I go with this view. Yeah. So we had a new jobs report come out. Matter of fact, I think I got even, let's see this. Yeah, so I just typed in, I'm using that AI mode for Google, and I just said, what's going on with the latest economic news? So today, April jobs report came out higher than expected. 177,000. I think they were expecting like less than half of that or something like that. More than double what they were expecting. I love the way that these headlines are phrased. If you look at CNBC, just says, "Hey, U.S. payroll growth total 177,000, defying expectations." That's like a positive spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I got the one that was the MSNBC spin, which was jobs report better than expected. But that's before the tariffs. So they put a little bit of a negative spin on it. But we just thought I'd stay with the positivity here. And then I didn't know that when they started doing this, but they actually added in the AI mode search on Google posts on X. So in addition to the headlines for the news, now you're getting posts on it. I don't know how they select who gets put in this, but these are the tweets that were on X that Gen AI or AI mode from Google position. So jobs report once again beats expectations. Strong jobs report 177,000 jobs added. Unemployment rate steady at 4.2. But participation rate is up. So more people were funneling in. And stocks open higher. We may actually have a positive week of stock market for the first time in today's May 2nd, April 2nd. How about that?
Yes.
Because we know what happened on April 2nd. So we got some good news. But I couldn't stop there. I asked, I think I asked perplexity. I like propensity too, but perplexity. Is the economy slowing? And earlier this week, the news said it is slowing. We actually shrunk 0.3% this past quarter. So we got a little bit of mixed signals here. Do I have anything else? Oh yeah, gotta point out earlier this week, confidence report came out. Not looking good from the confidence side from the U.S. consumers. It's lowest in 5 years for consumer confidence, but look at the expectations. Our expectations are terrible. Lowest in 14 years. Wasn't that guy Obama president at that time? I can't remember. Anyway. So laid out a whole bunch of numbers there for you. So I get to ask what I usually get to ask you guys. How you feeling this week about things? Let's see. Who wants to go first? Any volunteers?
I think Leland does, and then I think Ivana wants to support what he's doing.
I love how Ramon started volunteering others for.
Well, he likes to sign others' books, so
That's a good point. Yeah, a good point. So I'm going to make a executive decision. Since Ramon tried to pass it off on other people, I'm passing it off on you. Where are you? What?
Yeah. I feel good this week. I feel great. As I said at the beginning of the show, I was just in London, and then I went to Budapest visiting my son. So that small little unscientific nugget, a room full of 1,000 people who bought tickets over $500, $600, $700, all talking about growing their businesses, getting their business to the next level, which is a small bubble. Admittedly, it's a small fraction of the average small business. But from that lens, those people are positive. I watch them not only buy tickets, but then buy into the offer and etc. IT consulting firm has a business in Dubai and London. I mean, I met a guy who has 5 businesses in Ghana. So that small sliver, I think always we have to know who we're talking to. Those people have a positive effect on a positive thought of the economy, even though they weren't polled because it's in London, not US. But that's my small sliver. I'm doing well, and they are.
So that means are you feeling better about things this week as opposed to last week?
About the same as it's okay. It's moving forward. And I think Leland and I know, why people are happy and okay, over the next 3.5 years, we know what the truth is. So yeah, that's what I think.
Okay. I want to ask Eva, because we haven't had a chance to ask you the last couple of weeks. Lots happened since then too.
Yeah, kind of feels like when you go off the diving board the very, very first time and you jump into the pool and the water is absolutely freezing and you think you're going to die, but you're in the water and then you start swimming. And I think that perhaps, we're just kind of getting used to it. Getting used to it. And I think when we get used to things, you get your bearings and you start working with what you have. I'm very concerned myself about the consumer confidence that for small businesses is like a leading indicator. And I think it's too soon to tell. Every small business I know, I would like to see some consistency so that you can make investments and plan. And right now, the audience I'm interacting with has that underlying optimism and at the same time is really afraid to throw money at products and services.
They're hunkering down still.
I'm seeing hunkering down, but that's, again, just like Ramon said, right? We're all like in our little bubbles, and that's just mine.
All right, Mr. Ice, what is your little bubble looking like this week?
Yeah. First, I want to remind everybody that this, of course, as our president said, this is Joe Biden's economy. So just I want y'all to remember that.
He did say that. He did say that.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to pull it back today, but everything floats day by day.
That was a good one, John. John, that was good. I got to give it to you, John. That was good.
You know what? I'm feeling like I think even have pretty much summed it up. It's like you're getting used to the temperature of the water a little bit more. Everybody's not screaming house on fire anymore. And we'll see how long this takes to really permeate through the waters. But there's definitely some people that are like, well, we don't know what we're going to do right now. We're just going to have to see. And so I'll be in the wait and see category as well.
All right. That leaves, well, we still have Leland.
Okay. Did Shashi go?
No, I'm leaving Sashi.
Oh, I see.
The best for last, right? So a few things. Yes, the GDP has shrank by 0.3%. I did see a figure that said that government spending is also down by 5%, which is a huge thing because the government spends a lot of money. So that is a contributing factor to the slowdown to GDP. But also another positive note that I did see was that investment into the U.S. market has increased by 20%. And so while we're not going to see that right now, a 20% increase in investment into the U.S. is going to have huge effects down the road. No comfort to the I'm suffering now, I'm hurting now, but that brings a lot more possibilities, especially to people who are running small businesses and are able to make it to that point, and also wanting to start up small businesses to be able to cater to those that are benefiting from the investments, those neighborhoods, those groups. Like the area that I live in, we've had that investment of Amazon, and our community is growing, and we are getting our first Chipotle in our town. I am so excited.
Yay.
I love Chipotle, so I'd be
Me too.
excited too.
I like it too, and I only get to eat it when I go traveling, so I'm happy. I'm excited. But I do see the effects of like tariffs and stuff like that. Some of these companies, I'm into gaming, if you guys haven't noticed. And Xbox has come out and said that they're going to increase the prices of their consoles, their peripherals, their games. Nintendo isn't going to increase the price of their Switches, but their the accessories are going up in price. And that's affecting me, but I look at that as like, well, that's a luxury purchase. So, in the end, it's like I know that it's going to trickle down, it's going to hit me. We're going to probably see some increases in prices on stuff that come in from Amazon. But I'm hoping that down the line in a couple of years, the economy does a lot better, and then I can prosper even more, and my kids can prosper even more than that.
All righty. Last and certainly not least, we go back to our nation's capital for Shashi Dolankonda.
No, thank you. I think very interesting perspectives from everyone. I think there is a underlying signal in this. Number one, like as much as we are talking about tariffs, I feel like it's not going to affect people who save money. So what consumers have started doing is they've started spending less just because of the uncertainty. No, that's going to affect businesses, right? If you look at the jobs report today, the top 3 categories of jobs, number 1 is healthcare. That will always keep going up. The population is growing old much faster. I mean, not that something is causing them to grow old much faster, but that's the demographics of the country. So healthcare will always be there. Number 2 is transport and warehouse. That's a kind of an anomaly, because what businesses have started doing, like you heard, is they started bringing in all their stuff very quickly in case the tariffs hit and their profitability is affected. The consumer is not going to get benefit of whatever they brought in, right? The third one is, of course, hospitality. So if you look at this thing, consumers have stopped spending. The effect of that is going to come after a few months. But what I'm thinking is, let's remain calm. Personally, whatever you can do, save money. Thankfully, your 401ks are looking much better for whatever reason, right? So there's a little bit of relief. So finally some good economic news is actually right, but still do some self-preservation. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think that goes with the hunker down that Ivana mentions. Self-preservation, hunker down, keep your head down low, keep calm, and whatever that last statement is. I know it's.
I mean, just to add something, right? Like the last 3-4 years, ever since this disposable fashion economy came, I think we could do without that. And what I mean by that is, like, I mean, buying polyester garments that resembled $100 garment, you get it for $7. It costs $14 now. Big deal. Like, Ramon doesn't care. He always goes to the best tailors in Manhattan and Hong Kong, right?
And Hungary too, I hear that.
And actually, Shashi, just to get it correct, I buy my shirts from Charles Chirwit, which is a London-based company with offices in Midtown Manhattan. Charles Chirwit's ctshirts.com. That's the website I go to. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a shop there. They have some amazing deals sometimes, so that people like me also can afford what you wear.
Nah, shoot, the Goodwill has some really good deals if you really look for some good. Anyway, so
they're overpriced.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Look, he got an attitude.
Yeah, overpriced at the Goodwill. That says something there.
Goodwill's getting a little greedy.
It's like not as good as Will as it used to be. Apparently, it's anyway.
Those $3 shirts are now $3.50. Huh? Okay. All right.
All right. So I want to get you guys' take on what happened when it got out that Amazon was thinking about pushing the actual price of the tariffs as part of the price, so you could see how much of the price is being driven up by the tariffs. And apparently, once that word got out, someone at the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue address didn't like that. Picked up the phone, called my boy Jeff Bezos, and said, "Hey, JB, you can't do that. Can't do that. You better not do that." And like 5 minutes after the phone hung up, announcement, a press release came out from Amazon. We weren't even thinking about doing that. I don't know where you got that idea from. We like doing it the way you want it, sir. So if that was true, that they were going to do that, a phone call was made, press release came out saying it wasn't going to happen. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that whole scenario where a company, a publicly traded company in a capitalist society was going to do something, and somebody in the government, not just somebody, the top person in the government says, "I don't like that. I'm placing a phone call. You better not do that or else." And that company, who makes like $140 billion every quarter, by the way, says, "Okay, you aren't going to do it. Sorry."
Brent.
What do you think about that whole situation?
Yeah, Brent, listen, this happens all the time, in my humble opinion. You know, I'm not deep inside, but I believe it happens all the time. We just don't hear about it like this or this aggressively. I'm not saying that Biden or Obama or George Washington did it like this, but the government always puts pressure on companies, I would have to imagine, but maybe not this aggressive, this fast. That's my thinking.
Yeah, I imagine that it's probably very similar to when the FBI went and called up Meta and Twitter back before Elon Musk bought it and said, "Hey, there's going to be the story about a laptop coming up." Yeah, that can't go out.
Are you saying that both of those stories or those actions are okay? I don't think either of those actions are okay, but
I don't think that those are both okay, but I'm just saying, to Ramon's point, it happens all the time.
So
It's politics.
I happen to be drinking my coffee, watching the news channel that morning. And when the question was asked live, and I almost spit my coffee out because of, the context. I think after it gets recycled and replayed and everything, but to just be there and sitting and watch this happen, I was like, what the F is going on? Because really what was said was that this was a hostile and political act.
Yeah.
Right? And then what's the little girl's name? And
Stop, John. John,
like
stop.
that.
John.
No, her name is Kathleen.
Kaylee Levitt. Kylie Levitt.
So the little girl goes like this. And this is the part that really, the hostile and political was bad enough. Then she held up a picture
of
him and then said, "That's why he's working with China." That
doesn't happen.
In my opinion, is where that really went off the rails. Because all of a sudden, now you're trying to position him as if he's an enemy of the people.
Yeah.
And that was crazy. And it's called a bully pulpit for a reason.
And let me pick up on that, because I think if I were Amazon and all of a sudden things that were priced at $2 like overnight are going to $8, you don't want the public to think that you're the one gouging. You're just doing what needs to be, that price is not being driven by the market.
Well, I think a lot of small businesses should do that. I mean, if your prices are increasing and you have no, I've done that before because of the United States Postal Service when its prices go up. I mean, I don't understand the analogy of hostile and political.
John,
So-
John, I think you do understand, John. And by the way, I want to shout out my friend Ramon Darling, smart human. Always love having Ramon Darling here. But John, listen, I think you do understand it, John. I think you're being disingenuous. I don't think you're being honest on the Small Business Breakdown show, John. That's what I think. Just said jokingly. But I think, John, that it's politics, John. Come on. It's at the highest levels. Jeff Bezos, Donald Trump, the war. They're not going to call even if she puts out on her little eBay store, you or Shashi. It's big boy, big girl war. This is what Trump does and Levitt does. Come on.
Ramon, it's a different thing. We're on this show right now.
Yeah.
We have differences of opinion.
Sure.
If I say something in a way on this show versus what I might say in private,
Fair enough.
there's a different connotation. And that's really what I'm talking about. It's not that it doesn't happen. And you mentioned, the way it happened and how it was. But I'm just saying, are we going to make people like enemies if they don't do what you want them to do?
It
I don't
should
know.
not be, John.
If
You're
that's
right.
okay. That's okay.
No,
That's the place y'all want to hang out. That's fine.
It's not okay,
it.
John. I'm the first to say that it's not okay, as we talked a show or two ago. But I'm just saying, I'm not making excuse for it, but I'm saying we know
Right.
this is the way our President Donald Trump, this is the way he rolls for sure. He is, slicing and dicing and shooting. This is his style for sure. He is not Mr. Politics. Take a look at the Ukraine president and him. That never happened in the Oval Office before, ever. So
Yeah,
But-
it is.
but-
It is like that.
But there's a certain portion of this country that's not really tuned into what's going on, the potential that these tariffs are coming. There's some folks that are just completely going to be blindsided when they go to Amazon to buy something that they usually get for $1, and it's going to be like $8. I don't know exactly. I'm just exaggerating for the effect. So, and you know who they're going to blame if they don't know what's going on with the tariffs. They don't know what they're going to blame. Not even the small business. They're going to blame Amazon because Amazon is the big bully, basically.
you're right.
And if I was Amazon, I would no, this ain't us. We ain't driving this price increase. This is this tariff that is coming from the government.
That's
Yeah.
like, I know this is not at all the same thing, but, and I think I told you guys this before, with all the small businesses that are in my little tourist town, lots and lots of them have different prices for if you pay by credit versus if you pay cash. My husband has now started walking around with cash in his pocket all the time because you're getting, what is it, like 3 to 4% discount right off the top if you pay cash. And they have two prices out there, right? They were like, let's say they'll do the cash price because it's lower. And then they'll have a little sign or something that says, if you pay by credit, you're going to pay 3% more. And that's their prerogative to do.
It's hostile and political.
Right? I stand on it, and call me radical if you will. This is where I am just a big believer and a proponent for, if you run your small business, you can do whatever you want to do. It's your business, your private entity. You're not publicly held, you're a private entity. It's your business. Serve who you want to serve. Do it the way you want to do it. Don't break any laws. Don't be hurting people, right? Be healthy, be legit, all of those things. But you can feel how you want to feel about it. We all have to go through the process. This is the process we have to go through. And what I say to myself is, nothing was going to be a secret. There was no false advertising at all. Okay. And people voted. So clearly, whatever it is that's happening is what people want. And it's a business owner's and a marketer's responsibility to do the best they can with what they got. Right? This is what we created. It wasn't COVID. It wasn't the financial crisis, even though I would posit that in 2008, we sort of knew what we were creating and did that purposely. We have very smart people. No one is stupid. Everyone knows what they're creating and everybody knows why. So, hey, if it's raining, take an umbrella.
I would be interested in the logistics of it. Like if Amazon were to come out and to go, okay, let's do a tariff pricing increase, because the price that comes over is, so when Nike goes and buys shoes from China, brings them over, they buy them for $3, and the tariff price is based off of that $3. And so now at 100% or a 200%, it goes to $6 or $9 respectively, and then they sell it for $150 after the fact. And so I would be very interested in how Amazon would actually do that en masse, on scale, because some small businesses are buying at a very small margin, and so they may be buying it from China at a product for $10, and then they're turning around and selling it for $20. And so yes, there's going to be a very drastic increase in price, but then there are going to be people who buy components or parts for 50 cents, and then they turn around and sell it for $5. And so it's going to be a little bit different. And if they were to do that, I would love to see what is the markup for Amazon, because they take out a pretty big chunk. And if we're going to do, hey, this is what your tariffs are increasing, also say, hey, when you're buying it through Amazon, this is the chunk that goes to Amazon as well.
Oh, what if you saw that for like absolutely everything? That is the one thing I would, right? This is like pricing. So for example, and I don't know why this is, if anybody knows, you let me know. Apparently, oftentimes, a washing machine, oftentimes pricing will go up on a washing machine because the component's more expensive and so on and so forth, right? But typically washing machines and dryers are sold together. And typically the price of a washer and a dryer tends to be very, very close to each other, right? And I believe, if somebody knows, correct me, that washing machines tend to be just a little bit more expensive than dryers. Whatever. And then I thought I read somewhere that, like, let's say washing machines, let's say they get hit higher with the tariffs because they have more components and more stuff, whatever, right? So let's say if your washing machine now costs, let's say it costs $600 plus the tariffs and whatever, right? Let's say it goes up to $1,000. But let's say a washer is less expensive. Pricing strategy will tell you that they're going to increase the price of the dryer beyond the profit. So to Leland's point, there's a lot of companies that have been making record profits since COVID. They raise the price because they can and because people will pay it, right? And I think to Leland's point, they have the option to make profits like they did before. Not like 50 and 60% margins, but maybe closer to 20 or 30. They ain't gonna go broke. But the question is, are they going to do that? And to your point, Leland or Brent, would companies want to show their profit margin? Would they really? I don't know. But I do get the rebellion.
Publicly traded companies do that. But I don't think small businesses would ever want to do that.
I know. And that's another thing too. I mean, you think about, I think the whole concept of it was just basically, if you go and buy a car, the price of the car, the sticker price of the car has all the other parts that they have to pay for that are government, taxes on top of that. And that's all they were going to do. And I think if you think about it, more than 50% of all products sold on Amazon are sold by third-party sellers, usually small business owners. And I think they were doing that, or the concept would not be to protect Amazon's margins, but it would be to protect the margins of their third-party sellers so that the third-party seller wouldn't have to increase the price of the product. They could just own up to, we're paying extra in import tax.
Yeah, either
which
way,
to me makes sense.
Either way, if they're doing that to protect the small business guy or to protect themselves, from a business perspective, it just makes sense. And only somebody who views things purely from the political prism and how it looks how that's going to make them look, it would have a problem and call that a political act. That's not a political act at all. It only is that when you are the one that does not want to be on the hook for the responsibility of it.
Yeah, I think, Brent, to your point, if this was not a deeply political environment, because it's always political, we just don't hear about it like this. Again, President Trump is the most uniquest of uniquest presidents, and John's friend, Kylie Levitt. But point is,
Carolyn Levitt.
Yeah, her too. Kathleen and Kylene, all of them.
Sisters.
But
I actually have something good to say about her, but I'll
okay,
let you finish.
well, I can too. I'll join you that. We can help John with that as well. But point is that like during, I love you, John. During COVID, right? We people did put things like that, as I recall, because of COVID. We've had to do this, explain it. Nobody complained, right? So I see your nod, or even so you're right. This is a politically charged environment, and that's just what it is. And I'll be the first to admit that. There's nothing like it. It's the uniquest political we've been in a long time, and that's the way it is. But going back to profits, I think I'm not sure if that's what you meant, Brent, but I know you said it doesn't matter or something like that, and I agree with you. If that's what you meant, Brent, nobody's talking about profits and how much profit we're making. That's not part of the equation. I don't think that's necessary. Nobody wants to do that, notwithstanding publicly traded companies that do it behind the scenes in their reports. I'm talking about nobody wants to say, and we make 30% on your shrimp, red lobster, or 50% this. That's a separate issue, how much profit any company's making. Shashi, what do you want to say?
Yeah, so I think we all got into the trap that is exactly what the president is looking for to remain in the news. For example, I mean, Amazon, in my opinion, has no what's the word I'm looking for? Has no incentive to show anything about how much they make, how much is the profit, how much is tariff, and how much is taxes, right? You just look at one price. In fact, the customer experience is much better when you just look at one price. In fact, if you put the tariff there, it might have been a good marketing ploy for everybody else to put a label saying no tariff, that's why we are cheaper, right? So, I mean, I think like him calling Jeff Bezos, who was probably in some Caribbean island on his 500 million yacht, and he's saying, Donald, I don't know what you're talking about, but let me find out, right? And then he calls somebody and says that, yeah, we were actually having a boardroom conversation about this, and we haven't decided yet. And there's a press release. Now, it's a victory for the president. Like, hey, I've got the power. I can call one of the richest people in the world. But if you look at the businesses, like I'll give you my favorite example, and even I want to touch on the washer dryer also because I bought one just in the past few weeks.
Oh, great.
My this thing of measure is beer. So I buy Belgian beer. The price has always been the same. Last week I noticed the beer is actually brewed in New York.
No.
Right? The price didn't change, whether it was from Belgium with all the transportation costs, and the beer guy didn't put a sign saying no tariff, no transport. Here's $2 less. So I think the way that people are going to buy will again depend on, do they want to spend the money or not, which is the best value for them in terms of money. Yes, if things get very expensive, they're going to spend less, right? Now, the same thing happened to washer and dryer. In fact, I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. A lot of these washers and dryers are made here because the government forced them to say, like, hey, we're going to put a law. And this is like different political parties. That's why I think whatever we're discussing, like to take the politics out of it, because so they started making a lot of these things in the US with parts, obviously, from all over the world. The price didn't come down. Right now, with the tariffs, the American manufacturers are not going to say we are cheaper. They're going to say, hey, we're going to put the same price as whatever comes to you with the tariffs on. So you, as consumers, we only look at one price. How much is it going to cost me? I mean, John, your example of cars, so confusing, right? You don't know what you're going to pay. You have to keep asking him, okay, what's the price out the door? You said it's 40,000. Now you're going to say like 48,000. I wasn't expecting that. So I feel like the price, irrespective of whether the president talked to the richest guy in the world, the price is going to be what the merchant wants to set and what the consumer wants to pay.
And given what you just said, the price being between what the consumer wants to pay and what the vendor wants to get, that's one thing. And if that is on Tuesday, $5. That's the price that everybody is happy with and has been happy with for a while. And all of a sudden, that $5 product goes to 20 overnight. You don't think there's going to be somebody saying, "What the hell's going on here?" And then you're going to have to, either Amazon or the other is going to have to explain what happens. If I was Amazon and if I was the small business person, I don't want anybody coming at me because they think I'm trying to gouge them. I'll be like, "Hey, yo, you need to speak to these guys over here. They're the ones that enforce this tariff thing." That's all. That's what I was saying.
Are there going to be any
Every
restrictions?
small business has to prepare their messaging. Like I was hearing a story of a jewelry small business that crafts jewelry. They buy the stones from some other country. So now they're worried about like, hey, I used to sell this for like whatever. Now the price of the stone is doubled. So my final product price, and I'm not going to compromise on the profitability. So they'll all have to prepare to say whatever they need to say why it is more expensive.
I think everyone's going to have to become a better marketer. And as someone who's not been, Ramon, was that you that talked about, we've been so over consumerized. I'm like the disillusioned marketer, right? I would really, really love to see, I'd love to see us being smarter consumers, wiser consumers. I would like to see businesses take more ownership of their product from the beginning of its life all the way to the disposal of that product. I would just like us to become better stewards of the things that we buy and the things that we sell. And maybe, call me Pollyanna, I can maybe not like what's happening or, come up with some political spin on it. But from a here and now perspective of businesses and consumers, I think everyone is going to learn a tremendous amount about marketing and value.
Pollyanna.
Thank you, Ramon. And I wear that proudly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, a lot of you, including me, don't go often to the haircuttery or barber, right? So, but between the pandemic and now, the price has gone up like almost 70%. I'm happy paying it because it did mean that the people who were cutting your hair were actually getting paid more because of the market effort, right? So I think the market will decide what to do, whether to buy less or buy more.
But Shashi, you could have gave a tip, Shashi, to I mean, I just wanted to come. I hear you, and you're a great guy, Shashi, but you're happy because they could earn more. You could have just gave a tip on barbershop. And the reason
that's what tips are for.
Yeah, come on, Shashi.
But so I just want to make so if something you guys are used to paying for $10 overnight goes to 30, you don't care? You just like, oh, I guess I'll just
I mean, come on, bro.
It's going.
I'm going less to the barber.
What do we buy? Nothing we buy is going to go up that high. That's not realistic.
All right. Stuff from China is what, 145% increase right now.
145%.
So that's more than a double. That's a 2.5.
They keep taking things away, right? Like computers.
I'm saying
less.
That's why he keeps on taking certain things out of the tariff. Could you imagine if you have to pay that kind of tariff on an Apple product? It ain't going from $10 to $30. I'll tell you that much. Just saying.
Well, remember, it's based off of the price what they're buying it from China. So
the cost of manufacturing it, not the sale price.
Not the sale price. And so, Apple's $1,000 MacBook is not all of a sudden going to become $2,500. It's Apple buys that MacBook for $200. They buy that stuff dirt cheap because they get themselves some nice cheap labor. They bring it over for $200. Now all of a sudden they're paying $400, $500. So they are buying it for $500 from China instead of $200. And so they may just tack on that extra $200 or $300 onto the end. And so your $1,000 MacBook is now $1,300.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way it works. But
let me just give y'all, because I think you guys let me just give you the breakdown just a little bit.
Give us the breakdown. It is small biz
Yes.
breakdown, damn it.
If it's
Yeah.
$100, let's say there's $100 product that you buy. Of that $100, let's use, around, Leland's numbers, around $20 to make the product. Okay. That leaves $80 on the table. Now, if we take that $80 also is the amount you pay for the rent for the place that you're in. That's for the people that you work for. That's for insurance. Part of that is taxed, and all of that. After all is said and done, most business owners take home 15 to 25% of that $100. So it's not like people are sitting around going, "Ooh, we made $80 off of $100 thing." That all of that, there's all kinds of costs that are involved after the product arrives on shore. You got to pay for advertising, all that. So, but the deal is that what happens now is that product that used to cost me $20 is now costing me $45. So now all of that room in between that I was paying all these people, doing advertising with, paying my mortgage with, and all of that, now that is shrunk. And now these businesses could be underwater or in jeopardy because there's no room left over for anybody to make any money and do business.
And then
that's what's happening.
On the consumer side, you multiply that one product that you buy from that person to like 15 because you got to be doing that same type of thing with all these other vendors that are bringing other products that you like that are going to see similar increases. I mean, I don't know how you do
you
that.
talked about are going to go up, John, right? Like you're paying.
Yeah, all the other parts going up too. Yeah.
Right. So like, let's say I'm just going to simplify things. You're paying utilities. There's like HVACs. Those have to be repaired. Those parts have to come from somewhere. Those costs are going to go up. And those costs are going to go up. And I can't imagine anyone not. I think that a laptop that costs $1,000 can easily go up to $2,500. And if you need a laptop, you're going to be saving your money and you're going to be buying a laptop. And we're going to go back to where when we lived in Serbia, before it was Serbia, when it was Yugoslavia, you had like a couple pairs of pants and a couple shirts. You did not have a car. You did not have a lot of things. And I think that we're going to go back to that type of, excuse the expression, Great Depression lifestyle where you are focused on necessities and each business will decide what their necessities are. Each consumer will decide what their necessities are. And I have to say, I just don't see where we can avoid mass casualties of small business owners.
And even I would say to your point, even I get that's a great example. Yugoslavia is probably mending things more. And I do mean that literally even here, not maybe not depending on the scale, but yeah, Brent's nodding, the mending things. And there's a company, I'm sure there's more than one talking about downscale your electronic. There's something on this train to New York City, something, and I'm sure you guys have that kind of thing. So last thing I'll say is that, I'm not a very price sensitive person, as Shashi said, because I get my shirts from Charles Tyrwhitt, ctshirts.com, premium shirts for men and women. But I went to get Chinese food for me and my wife last week or 2 weeks ago when she said,
didn't recognize you.
Yeah, when she said 50, they recognized me. When she said $55 for a meal for two, that gave me pause. I said,
well,
really?
where did it come from? What was it normally?
Like down the street, egg foo.
No. What was it normally? 55 from.
Oh, maybe I thought it sounded like it should have been 30, 40, John. It went really high. Take for two. 15
in New Jersey.
Ramon doesn't know. He just gives his card.
But Chashi, you're right. But the number 55, just something.
Yeah.
55 two people
for takeout Chinese.
He went from being oblivious to prices to like, damn.
Brent, that's exactly how I felt, Brent. I stopped the lady and she knows me, but it was a smile talk, like I wasn't angry literally, but I was like, 55? And she said, yes.
And that's Ramon. Just imagine people who are very price sensitive because they have to be. I mean, this could get bad quick. And going back to my point, if I were Amazon, I don't want to be the one getting the full blame from the American public, because all they're seeing is the price go from nothing to damn, and they're gonna blame whoever, is
They're
right
not
in the
going to
front.
blame anyone. We
come
are
on.
so.
No,
Oh,
they
come
will.
on, Brent.
Come on.
They are going to keep buying. They're going to do whatever. They are
You
not
know
going to
what?
blame
Did-
The
anyone.
secondary market is going to go crazy. Used goods, the only thing people are going to buy that's new is food. Everything else is going to be used stuff.
Well, Brent, to that point, let me tell you how you can get discounts in a Chinese
Opportunity.
restaurant. If you bring your own plates and you bring it right to the stove and you scrape the pan of your plate, they'll give you 20% off.
But there's markets in that. We were talking about people having a career as a creator. I found this creator and I just love her. She's like, people are making their own like coffee creamer. She's like, people are really getting.
No, come on,
to-
even.
I kid you not.
But they're not selling it. They're just making it just for themselves, right?
We're just making it for themselves. I mean, I have seen, I don't know if I'd call it a trend, definitely since COVID. I think COVID put it into high gear, but people have been wanting to get more in touch and more like minimizing their purchases. I think COVID taught a lot of small businesses lessons that they wanted. Remember, Brent, we talked about they wanted the slush fund. They wanted to have this sense of security, because now we know that disruptions are going to happen like every 18 to 24 months.
That's funny. You're right. That didn't
It's called-
last, did it? That didn't last at all.
No.
Right?
It's
Go ahead.
it's called cottagecore, and yeah, it was a huge trend back then, and there are still some people that kind of glom onto it, but it was about like baking your own bread and making your own butter and
Yes.
milling your own grain.
There's an Amish woman that's got like millions of followers on TikTok. She doesn't like to blink when she cooks, but she makes all this Amish food in her little Amish outfit. It's amazing. And I'm just saying.
What?
Yeah.
But
You're
what is
not
she doing?
supposed to
She's
be
live
doing
streaming and the
it.
power goes out. Even what happens if she's live streaming and the power
Well,
goes out?
she had left the Amish community, but she sort of like
Oh,
dresses up
okay.
and does all
I'm
the
about to
things,
say-
right?
She's not even supposed to have lights on.
Yeah.
John,
You
she got a
missing
horse
the
in the back,
point.
traveling on a generator.
You're missing the point, right? The point is that there is, I think small business owners need to pay attention, and there is a trend out there that yes, people are going to be more aware of the price, and you're going to have to shift your messaging over to something that's more like like this is how to do this, more necessity based, more like bringing value to people's lives. It's not going to be easy. It's just not
And
going to
more
be
quality product too.
more quality
I'm not gonna
product.
buy over and over again.
I think we're going to go back to where we were. Remember how like those frigid? I follow another person that does these like refrigerators from the 40s and the 50s, and people are still selling those because they run. They're refurbishing refrigerators from the 50s and the 60s, and they are
Gotta go
selling
catch it.
And they're just as efficient as the modern ones. I saw a video,
I don't know
and this
about
guy
that. Are they
plugs
really?
in like the like 50, 60-year-old fridge. Like I think one was even older. It was the smaller kind. It made a lot of sound, and they were drawing the same amount of electricity as the
Wow.
big modern one.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
People are doing that with cars now too. They're taking like classic cars and making them like battery operated or hybrid. They're like doing things. I don't know. I'm as you know, I do tend to like to see the positive in things. I've just decided that no one's going to be happy with anything until it's completely broken, and then we build something that works.
Brent, if you want to make this show go on for another hour, let's talk about the GDP shrinking.
No, we're not
No.
doing that, Shashi. we're not doing that today. I mean, believe me, this has been very interesting, but we beat the whole hour up on that. I didn't plan on that, but it was great. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, you did. We know you, Brian.
Yeah, whatever. But we have come to the end of this particular episode. So final thoughts. Let's go with Leland first.
I like, even as Evena's message. Let your marketing run, and tell the consumers why you are the better choice. Out of a sea of 1,000 people, be that element that shows, hey, I'm unique, I'm different, I'm awesome. This is the thing that is special, that pushes me off to the side. And this is why you're going to get yourself a high quality item or high quality service. I'm going to steal your thunder, Ivana. I'm sorry.
Wow, that's good when you're stealing a co. We're all co-hosts here. You're stealing from each other. That's not really stealing. That's just borrowing. A little touch. Little
We like it. I'm honored. Thank you, Leland.
Ramon.
What I learned from still high on my London trip was continue to build amazing relationships. I got a ride in a London police car with London police officers.
A Bobby?
What's
What
that?
did you do?
Was it a Bobby?
I suppose constable.
Oh, a constable. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I just laughed and made a connection. And they said, hey, mate, we'll give you a ride to your hotel. So I thought that was great. And yes, I love what Amber said. So make connections, be good, make people laugh and smile, and be as honest as you can be, and just live life to your best.
Nice. Very nice. Mr. Ice.
Just while we're talking, as a small business, there's opportunity here, I think, in upcycling, recycling, reuse, repurpose, downcycling, all of these things. You might want to check into some of this, because I think what is going to happen is that people are going to be more cognizant of how they spend their money. And there's opportunity here.
Shashi.
Yeah, I think don't sell on price, sell on value, and build relationships. Because if you're selling on price, if the price goes up, they're going to find somebody else. So figure out what value you provide to your products.
And for the first time in a couple of weeks, she's back. Madam Mic Drop.
I don't have anything new. I feel like my mic drop was the very last thing I said before you did the roundups. And then everyone already globbed on to my little pricing and value conversations. I'm feeling like really, really good about myself. All I'm going to say to add on to everything that everyone said is I'm going to say, for the first time ever, I don't know that talking to your customers is going to uncover what you're going to need to be successful. I'm always saying talk to your customers, and I'm thinking talking to them is not necessarily going to work. I think you're going to have to do what Procter & Gamble does and really observe and look for and listen for the things that are missing where you can provide value.
Wow, that was interesting. That was mic drop worthy, by the way.
Thank you.
I also like how you call them all globbers ons. I really like that. I think that's nice.
I really enjoyed that we wrapped up with like pricing and value. So that's a personal favorite.
And it's pricing and value in a capitalist society. That's the way it works here. A buyer and a seller agree on the mutual value they'll be willing to exchange, and they exchange it. Unfortunately, now we're going to have a little asterisk because the tariff thing is here, folks. Get ready, get used to it. Get your wallets out and try to guard it as much as you can. That's my 2 cents for this week. Thank you. This is great. Thanks to Sean, Amber, Ramon, Darling, of course, and also our darling Ramon here. Thanks to everybody. Great conversation. See you next week. I'm not going to Hungary or anything like that. I'm just going to Vegas, but I'll be back. I always try to get back from Vegas. Anyway, have a great weekend. Have a great week. We will see you next Friday.
Bye, everyone.